I had a moment one night where I was trying to work out the electrics of what light switches needed to be done, and it was 11 o'clock at night. I was tired, I'd been working all day, and I said, I don't care anymore. And that's when I realised that I do need to care, because this is our forever home. So I took a break from work to focus on the project. My name's Lorna. I live in this house with my family, my husband John, my 2 boys who are called Freddy and Arran, and our little doggo, who we may see at some point during our tour. No, if you don't calm down, you're not being part of this. The house is in a village called Duffield, which is in Derbyshire. I grew up not too far from here. Vowed I would never move back to Derby, but I think we were ready to leave London. We'd been there a long time. I'd lived there for over 15 years. I felt in a way that we'd sort of done our time. I think this side of the house is, if we like, the new bit. What we changed is mainly the downstairs area, so this big open plan bit that I'm in and the back entrance. This used to be an old 1980s conservatory that was very hot in the summer and very cold in the winter, and we put the steel doors in as a bit of a nod to my love of Art Deco. The steel doors were really complex. The steel bifold is something that not many people do, and they ended up being made in Romania, and they were very, very delayed. And in delaying meant we couldn't really seal the house, which meant that we couldn't dry the concrete floor enough. It also meant that the humidity in the house meant that we couldn't lay the wooden floor. And this wooden floor, 200 square metres of an engineered parquet floor, takes a long, long time to lay. Where I'm standing now used to be a pond, which was really beautiful, but quite old in its style, and it leaked. And we wanted something that was kind of much, much more sociable. So we dug down to create this fire pit. One of the things that we talked to the architects about a lot was the curves in the house. And so a lot of the work that we did is based on one curve from that window over there, which is a round bay window, and the radius of that has then informed the design of this curve around here. It is exactly the same radius, and the same with the steel doors. It has a really nice feel of matching with the house and trying to bring some of the character of the house into the garden as well. But if we go over here, you can see the curve of the steel doors around the corners just there. And then we come over to where the kitchen barbecue shelter is. This was designed purely to match the house. So it has the same roof tiles, the same ridge tiles. It fitted in with the old house. We did have to work on the planning. There was a couple of objections from the neighbours around the height. So we worked on lowering it a little bit and adapting that kind of planning application. And then we actually dug down. So as we come around this side of the house, the conservatory was here. We extended a little bit to come out, probably 1.5 meters. And then there was some outbuildings here that had used to been the kind of back entrance. And again, you see the steel windows kind of come all the way through, because this is essentially a new build part of the house. We come through here and onto the front of the house. What we did, this piece here was new build. And then we wanted to tidy up the front of the house, because every single one of these windows was a different size and a different height and just all over the place. We tried to make them uniform, so we had to pin up the house and then rebuild the windows. So now each of these panes are the same size and same level, the same height, all the way through to the other side of the front door. Just going to shut that gate in case the dog gets out. All right. I think one of the biggest changes we did to the oldest part of the house, which is kind of this side, is we changed the top 3 windows. When we were planning the renovation, we wanted to make sure that we were sympathetic and retained the character of the house. This is the master bedroom. This sort of hexagonal tower went all the way up to the top. It had a flat roof on it and was enclosed in windows as part of the bedroom. Had a window seat that you looked into the bed. We thought we should want to look outside at the view. So we talked with the architects around how to change that into a balcony. So this is the master bedroom. Originally, the house finished here and there was a garage. Previous owners, they made it into an ensuite bathroom that was bigger than the flat that I spent most of my life in London. And so we split it into 3 rooms. So we go through and there's still a really sizable dressing room that then goes into the master ensuite. And then we took a section of it and put a door through from the guest room next door and made that an ensuite as well. And then the other window was the bay window as it was, with a flat roof. So there's 2 guest rooms. One has a room with a loo and one has a room with a view. Is that really cheesy? No, I like that. So we changed the window from the bedroom above into the double doors and put a balcony on so that you could walk out to it. The idea that the architect was talking us through is a kind of his and hers balconies from back in the day. This is the boot room. At risk of sounding really boring and practical, it's my favourite part of the house. It doesn't really matter what happens in here. All the mud and all the things, football boots, wellies, wetsuits, they all just get chucked into the dog shower around here, along with the dog. There were 4 different rooms in this. There was a tiny toilet, there was a kind of walk-in cupboard, a kind of entranceway that didn't have anything, and we ended up knocking it down and starting again. And the best part of that is we now have a loft above it as well, so we have lots of storage. So I have the utility room over here, and the dog shower is just here, and a downstairs loo behind. And the utility is just so nice to have. I lived in London and had no space, and it was just really nice to come up and have a space that all of that can just be in there. From here we come into the main space that we live in. Where I'm standing now used to be the hallway, and there was a wall here and here and here. We managed to take a very, very big structural pillar out of here, put in some steels and concrete pads and various other things that I don't know a lot about. Another thing we did was take the corner off this room. The reason for taking the corner off is so that when you come into this space, you can see the curved steel doors. So this is the boys' playroom. It used to be a snug. We wanted to use it as a space that the boys could have for themselves, but also be very close to us. And they spend a lot of time in here, particularly on this big bed, which wasn't here before. The window was, but it had like a very old window seat around it. And so turning it into a day bed, we've got massive storage underneath, and they all just pile on with their friends. And it's a really nice space because it's theirs, but it's right here. So we can see them, hear them, and be available for them. But if we're being too noisy when they're watching telly, then we can shut the doors, which is nice too. Taking the walls out, the big pillar that was here has changed it from what was a very L-shaped kind of almost galley style kitchen that went out into a breakfast room to actually being the space for breakfast. If we're having lunches or lots of people, often we'll just lay all the food and stuff out here and then everyone can kind of come sit. This used to be a bay window with a round table in it about here. And so we extended all the way back to here to give us that additional space. And then this used to be the rear wall of the house, and it had double doors that went out into the conservatory. I wanted to maintain the sense of 2 rooms but still be really open, which is why we kept this wall and put a fireplace in here. And that gives us the sense of we're all in an open plan space. I think the technical term is broken plan. And then we're into, the builders called it the garden room, I call it the living room. I don't know what it is, but it's where we kind of hang out. The windows are my favourite part. The view's pretty nice out there. The other thing that's really nice are the curtains. And it sounds really boring, but they're quite special because it's such a beautiful window, but it's also south facing, so you have to have the curtains, but curtains cover all of the space. And so actually what's really nice is by building the stud wall in here that the television's in front of, such a large curtain can still be completely hidden. Obviously the favourite part of this room is the view. The steel doors kind of give it some extra character, but being able to sit in here and look outside is just super special. Not so much on a day like today. So this is, I guess, the front door and the main entrance hall. You used to walk in from the house straight into a brick wall. So we ended up putting a door here to enable there to be much, much more light. Can't say it's my favourite room in the house because I keep saying that's my favourite room in the house. This is called the grown-up lounge. The boys don't come in here. The dog's allowed though. The thinking around this room was really to lean into my love of Art Deco, and so there's lots and lots of nods to it in the styling. The fireplace is new, and again that's a kind of nod to the Art Deco. So it's made from one piece of marble, but I think it's just incredible. Abby and Reese at Redesigning helped us to find something that was gonna be cool enough for the space. And the window seat is specially designed to have a middle section where the vinyl and stuff is. It pulls out so that there's just a small window seat around the edge and there's space to slot the Christmas tree so it can sit in the window. That was my dad's thinking of spending a life in caravans. He's very good at figuring out how to get the most out of space. Do you want me to talk about the window?
Yes, absolutely.
It's like my favourite thing. It was my 40th birthday present to myself. When we moved in the house, we had to replace all of the doors and the windows. So we replaced the door like for like, except for the window. Something that was really important to me was to have something about our family as the entrance to our home. And the concept behind the window is a little bit of Art Deco. There's a Rennie Mackintosh rose or two in it. And then the paintings are all the other places that we call home. So John's from Teesside. This is the Teesside Transporter Bridge, which is beautiful. The whale in the front is a nod to our daughter who died very young, and we always speak of her as like a whale, and so she's here as well. Chamonix, which is another place we just adore and love. London, where we lived for 15 years and all the children were born, and there's a little rainbow in there for the dog Bo, whose full name is Rainbow. And then this is Edinburgh, where we got engaged. I went to university there, and it's also Scotland, which is a big part of the family history. It's lovely every time we come into the house to just remember all of the other aspects of home outside of this building. So this is a study. It has lots of character. The panelling actually came from Sheffield Manor. So it's from the 16th century and it's on the walls of this house. And the rest of the furniture is inherited from John's grandpa. Tartan carpet, John's family are Scottish, my family are Scottish. It felt fitting in a kind of old, cosy space. It would be hard to put a tartan carpet in the rest of the house, which is quite contemporary. Well, John loves all things old. I was quite lucky when we were doing this project. John was really busy with work and therefore I got to plan most of the house. He's also a really keen gardener, and the outside space and the barbecue space and stuff was his. So we kind of agreed to have our own spaces, and I did the inside of the house and he did the outside. I grew up in a house full of people. Everyone was welcome. If somebody didn't have somewhere to be, then they'd come to our house, and I want this house to be like that. There's enough space for people to find their own comfort, and I want people to feel as at home here as I do. I think the different spaces that we've created enables everyone to just do whatever they want to do. My dad disappears off and has a nap on the daybed in the playroom pretty frequently when he's had enough. We chose to live here in the end because we didn't want to completely start afresh. My parents are 20 minutes away and they pop in for a coffee. They will be here whenever we need them, and the relationship that they have with the kids and the relationship that I now have with them just by seeing them really regularly is really cool. And this house is their home as much as their home was my home growing up.